Hello my friends, and welcome back to Mark Kelly Farm. We're trying to get back into the swing of things around here. Another recipe I got while I was out in California. I went to my buddy Brian's house one night and he made prime rib for us all. And I have to say it was the best prime rib I've ever had, and that sets the bar pretty darn high. So I grilled him, nice play on words there, right? On what he did to cook that prime rib, and he gave me the recipe and told me how he did it. So we're going to go over that and try it here at home. So stick around. I'm excited. So while in town this morning, I got this probably about 4-pound piece of prime rib. A lot of people get confused about prime rib. They think prime is the grade, which maybe that's what it used to be, but people are using a lot of other grades other than prime nowadays. This is a choice, which is one grade lower than prime. And prime rib is pretty pricey, and that's why people get really nervous when they cook this stuff. But there's not really a lot to it. A lot of it's just getting your flavors right. And like my buddy Brian had an amazing flavor that I've never been able to achieve, even though I cook a pretty mean prime rib. So we're going to get this thing going. I've got my meat thermometer here, making sure we got a charge on that. We're going to get the spice mixed up for this, and we'll show you what's in it. All right, the recipe we're using will do a 6 to 8 pound roast, but we are doing a 4-pound roast. So first thing we need is a 1/2 cup of good olive oil. Next thing we need is 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. We're using our favorite garlic. Now the next thing is 1/3 cup of seasoning, and this is where it kind of surprised me because he uses the Montreal steak from McCormick's. I have never really cared for the Montreal steak seasoning and never really used it. I only used it a couple times, didn't care for it, but I'm going to take his word that he used this stuff, and it was the most amazing one that, like I said, I've ever had. So I was surprised. So of course we'll give this a little stir. You could use a little less oil if you wanted to make it more of a paste, but that's what it looks like right there. We've already let our roast come to room temperature. I've left this out since I got back this morning. It's about 2 in the afternoon. It's still cool to the touch, but it's not refrigerator cold. So we've got the grill outside warming up to 300 degrees. So we're going to coat our prime rib in this mix. Okay, I've got our roast in the bowl here because I don't want to lose a bunch of our seasoning. So we're just going to start spooning this over the top, and then we'll get it rubbed in there. Maybe it's the garlic in the mix that changes that flavor profile for me, because like I said, the Montreal steak has never been really my favorite. So we'll get this all around our roast here. We'll flip it over, do the same thing on the other side. This roast has got a good trim on it already. A lot of your roasts will still have the big end piece on it and a larger fat cap. You can trim it down. I cannot wait. That, like I said, I've been thinking about that prime rib ever since we had it over there, and I'm a lover of prime rib, and it's just really hard to find a good one anymore. So we're well coated all the way around there. So we'll get this outside in our gravity gravity smoker, barbecue cooker, our master built, and we'll get this baby cooking once we're up to temp. We're out here in the Benzebo where our master built gravity feed smoker is. Now Brian uses a barrel type smoker, and we'll show you a picture of that. I forget the name of it, but we used to have these years ago. We all built one back in the day. It's just made out of like a 55-gallon drum, and you poke some holes in the bottom. I mean, your holes got to be the right size and everything. There's a scientific process for that. But it's basically you dump in a bag of charcoal and light it, and then it's got two rods across going in the top and the lid that comes with the barrel, and you just hang your meat in there and put the lid on it. We've done chicken and everything. You don't have to mess with the fire. It just burns. And it's super easy, gives a real good smoke flavor. Like I said, everybody had one of those back in the day, but they have a company now that's making those, and they've just got it so dialed in that there's really no guesswork with it at all. So we're going to get this meat on the grill. Now this master built grill works very similar to the barrel cookers, is they just maintain a constant temperature. You can set this thing at any temperature in the range, clear up to like 500 degrees, and it's got a fan in here, and it uses just regular charcoal briquettes, whatever flavor you like. We use hickory for our stuff, and it automatically adjusts the fan. It's got like a computer here inside the circuit board that automatically moves the fan up or down to maintain a constant temperature, and you get that really good smoke flavor. You don't have to have an auger to feed pellets or anything like that. It just burns on the bottom of that charcoal, and as it burns, it just keeps coming down. It's a pretty neat idea. So we're gonna let this run for about an hour before we worry about even putting the temperature probe in it. But while I have the barbecue running, my philosophy is, if you've got a barbecue running, you might as well put some more stuff in it. Use the heat you already got going on. So the other thing we're going to make is some bologna burnt ends. One of my favorite things to make. We've got a whole chub of bologna here. This is Bar S bologna. We had a brand out in California called Alpine bologna that was the best in the world. But I don't even know if that company's in business anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this bologna up into about 1-inch chunks. And then we'll show you what you do from there. Alright, I'm just going to use this bowl that we used for the other one. I just wiped it out. So we're going to start with some yellow mustard. We'll put enough in here to get a real good coating, like, I don't know, maybe half a cup or so. And we'll give that a toss. Now that we've got our mustard in here and it's all mixed up, I've got some seasoning here that I've mixed up. I went with about a 1/4 cup of our Pappy seasoning that I like using, and about a tablespoon of smoked paprika. And then we're going to put that all over our bologna here. Put about half of it in, give it a stir, and put the other half in. And then this can go right out into the barbecue as well. Alright, we split that up into 2 pans, so we'll get this out into the grill. Alright, we put our bologna burnt ends on the bottom. I put the middle shelf in, put the prime rib on that. So we'll come back in about an hour. We'll probably have to stir those burnt ends, and we'll put the thermometer in the prime rib. It's only 39 degrees out here today, and we're supposed to get some rain this evening, pretty good amount, but that's not going to stop us. All right, it's been about an hour. We've got our temperature probe in our prime rib. We've got our time going. Got it set for 126 degrees, and then we stirred our bologna burnt ends there. They're starting to get some color on them. Now I set that for 126, so it'll give me an alarm. Brian cooks his to 127. I know that sounds pretty precise, but Brian is one of those precise type of guys. There's precision in everything he does. So I know that he's trial and error this thing, and he's got it nailed down to 127. I've always cooked it to 125. So being that that's the best prime rib I ever had was at his place, I'm going to go with his 127. Now, if you're interested in that meat thermometer that goes to your phone, we've done a video on that. We did a video review, and I think Brian bought one of these too after I did my review. They work really well. I'll leave the link for that in the description. All right, we're about 95 degrees internal, and then we flipped our bologna burnt ends. It calculates the time remaining by the way the temperature comes up. So it shows we got about 42 minutes left. You can see it says we've been cooking for 1,846 hours. The thermometer must have been on up in the cabinet. But ambient temperature is coming back up because we just had the lid open. We're running just below 300. Okay, we're just about at 127, so we got a dish out here to put our prime rib in. And then we've got some barbecue sauce for our bologna burnt ends. So we'll get this inside first. We'll get a tent on it. Ooh, look at that beautiful piece of meat. All right, got it inside the house. We put the little tent on here. We left the probe in it so I can see what the carryover does. Let's go out and handle that bologna. All right, you can see we got some good color on our bologna burnt ends here. We're going to put some barbecue sauce on it. Putting on my favorite, the sun-dried apricot. Really good. We get that out in California too. I just brought a case back with me. We'll get this spread around. We'll leave this in here until the barbecue sauce caramelizes a little bit. And then these babies will be done too. Okay, we're going to let our roast rest for 30 minutes. You can see carryover has taken us to 132 already. While we're waiting for everything to get done, we made our horseradish sauce. We did a half a recipe, so it was a half a cup of sour cream, 2 tablespoons of horseradish, 1.5 teaspoons of lime juice, 1/4 teaspoon of Worcestershire, and a pinch of salt. All right, our horseradish sauce is made. We got this recipe. We went down to Tennessee to visit our friends Dave and Steph, and we went to a restaurant, and we just fell in love with their horseradish sauce. And the waitress was kind enough to give it to us by secret. We weren't supposed to get it, but she was, we tipped her good. Our bologna burnt ends are done. We're going to get these babies in the house, and it's perfect timing because it's starting to rain. Ooh-wee, look at those. Let's give these babies a try. Crazy good. Got that real good smoke with the seasoning and the barbecue sauce. Completely changes the texture of that bologna too. So we'll be eating on those for about a week probably. So it's supper time and I cannot wait. We're going to get this prime rib sliced and we're going to have a pretty good supper. We went right up 10 degrees with the carryover, so we ended up at 137. Oh, that smells amazing. So I'm going to take this end cut off of here, one of my favorite things. And that end cut we'll save for breakfast with some eggs. Look at that. That's gorgeous. Perfectly cooked prime rib. Got a good crust on it. Beautiful. Look at that. Give you a little close up there. Let's make a plate. Look at that. Isn't that just gorgeous? That's going to be super good. Let's take a bite. Make sure we get a little bit of that horseradish on there. Get that outside crust. Super tender. Absolutely perfect. Nailed it. Thank you, Brian. Wow, that was killer. I haven't had a meal like that in like 6 days. Because I was over at Brian 6 days ago. But if you notice, we didn't make any jus to go with this. Because I don't care for jus with my prime rib. I never use it. And I think the only reason they really use the jus is to put some flavor back in the meat. If your meat's flavorless, you dip it in that jus. It's got a little salt in it and stuff. So I choose to go without it. But if you want jus and you don't want to make it, a really good product on the market is called Johnny's. It comes in a little brown bottle. It's probably in your aisle with all your spices and stuff like that. It's really good. You mix it with water and you heat it up. It's a liquid. I think it's just concentrated real jus is what it is. And it's the next best thing to making it yourself. If you want to make it yourself, obviously you cook down, like if you cut the bones off the prime rib, you could cook those bones down with some onions and some garlic and all that. And you could have yourself a real good jus. You cook it down for a good long while, but I don't like going to trouble because I don't use it. So, but you can see we got 3 good pieces of meat left over there. Now, if you want to reheat this, do not put that in the microwave. Put it in a skillet, flip it over a couple times, warm it up. Also, if you have people over that like their, God forbid, their prime rib medium well, you can put this in just a warm skillet, flip it over a few times. Like I said, you don't want to put a crust on it, but you can warm it all the way through and it'll be medium well, whatever comes to your liking. So, hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed this prime rib. It's amazing. Thanks again, Brian, for hooking me up with that recipe. That's one for the books right there. We're going to put that in my book, and we're going to use that recipe every time from now on. So, until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here on the farm.